Good afternoon. Since I have written some notes, so I thought it will be better to speak from here. See, the topic is sustainable financing. So in my view, any sector, any project, the financing has to be sustainable, which means the project will sustain the obligation to repay the loans. So, but if we see that, does renewable power project deserve an extra element of sustainability? The answer is yes. It was a big yes till about a few years back, but I think still it is a yes. Reason being that the renewable power, because it's not dispatchable or it is intermittent, there is need to be making it hybrid along with storage. So the new elements of cost are getting added. And even today, if you look at the entire package of renewable power projects, which can match with the certainty of power ability from a thermal coal power plant, the cost is slightly higher. So it has not reached, on a very wholesome way, a grid parity in the cost of buying renewable power. There are also risk of technology obsolescence or disruptions, and apart from affordability. So unlike a coal-based or gas-based plant where the tariff is paid in two parts, one is the recovery of the plant and machinery cost, which is your capital recovery, which is called the fixed charges. Other is the variable charge, which is the coal consumed or gas which is consumed. But in the case of renewable, there is no variable charge because sun is free, wind is free. I mean, as of today, you don't know, tomorrow there may be some new regulations like we have for the radio technology or telecom. But as of today, it is purely the capital cost recovery of the solar plant or the battery plant or along with it or the wind, which is what is being paid by the end consumer. So in the overall cost of power, the capital is more, it's almost 95% of the price we pay for renewable power compared to something like 60% for coal. So this deserves more attention when it comes to renewable. So the debt servicing components, as Gagsa was telling, you have there are three elements in that. What will determine the tariff or the charges that the project should be able to recover from the users of power. One is the extent of capital. So if I have to attack the problem of financing or making it affordable, I have to see what is the cost of my project. Okay. So we'll talk about how the cost of the project itself can be reduced, which needs to be financed. Then what is the rate of interest? How frequently the interest has to be paid, because that's the obligation which the borrower will undertake to pay, and therefore he needs to recover that from the customers. What is the period over which the principal loan has to be repaid? So there are these three issues. So if we talk about how to make the financing of a renewable project sustainable, there are avenues for reducing the cost, not apart from what you negotiate with your vendors, but there are direct subsidies, for example, from the government, which will go to reduce your costs. So there are different types of subsidies. I will not today discuss about those. But there is one which I would mention so that it can actually reach the policymakers in some way. I had recommended in one instance, there's a coal cess which is paid by the consumers of coal-based power, and it is paid by the power plant operator per unit or per ton of coal. The 400 rupees which is paid. It comes to about 25 paisa per unit. So every one of us pays 25 paisa per unit of power, which goes to a coal cess, which is with the government. It could be running in some $20 billion by now. Now, it is paid as a coal tax, because you are using dirty coal, so there should be a disincentive. But I don't think it's getting disincentive, because hardly anybody knows that you are paying 25 paisa per unit. So I had made a recommendation which was followed by the MOP, Ministry of Power, that those companies which would install an FGD, FGD is a device for controlling the sulfur content. For those power plants which make their generation less dirty, I won't say green, they should be exempt from paying this 400 rupees. Because you can't be first paying for the dirty coal and then paying for the FGD which cleans it also. You can't be putting a double whammy. Now, of course, the FGD is now no longer mandatory. I come to one solution which will not reduce the cost of the power plant renewable, but it will make it more affordable to the buyer. We have a concept of RPO. I don't know whether people know about renewable power obligation. Renewable purchase obligation. Now, in my view, it should be actually renamed as renewable purchase opportunity. Because the distribution companies, if they were to go without this RPO obligation to the regulator, they will not get approval for solar power. Kyun kharidna hai? It is not certain when you will get that power or not. So if they start treating it as a renewable power purchase opportunity, that will change the mindset of the investors also. It's not an obligation, it's not a forcible, nobody is being forced to buy solar power. Secondly, for example, if you say that those distribution companies, you should know that the companies which do not fulfill this obligation have to pay a penalty. And the penalty is not a cost to the consumer, it is a cost only to the owner of the distribution company, which in most cases is government, but private sector companies also. Suppose we say, if distribution companies who have met their RPO obligations will not be required to pay this coal cess for the power they are consuming from coal, it could make a big difference in the ultimate cost of renewable power to the buyers, which is in a way, a roundabout way of financing. So that's just one thought which came to me. Then you have, the whole concept of one lender, one borrower. The moment you borrow from, let's say, even PFC, REC or banks, your repayment schedule is fixed. As Mr. Rajdama was saying today in the morning, that, solutions are all there. Only thing is we have not even searched where they are. So there are two ideas that I have thought of which have gained some traction. These are not ideas. I read about these instruments which are applicable, available in India. One is a tax-free bond. Now, a tax-free bond under the Income Tax Act, Section 1015, you can search that, is an instrument where the borrower, when he issues those bonds, the lenders are not any institutions. It can be you, me, and anybody. I can buy a bond, maybe one bond of 1,000 rupees, and I will get interest lower than normal interest, but they'll be tax-free. Suppose it is 6%. It will be hot cake. Everybody will jump at it. It will be oversubscribed if you get a 6% tax-free bond. Now that's, of course, the cost of interest. Okay. But the beauty is that the borrower can choose when he will repay this bond. Now, if somebody will say, oh, I don't want to be locked in for 15 years, that's not the issue. Because these bonds are tradable in the capital markets, in the stock exchange. So you buy a 1,000 rupee bond, say from NTPC, issued by NTPC Green. You get 6% per annum return. After a year, I want that money. I won't go to NTPC to repay the money. I'll just sell that bond in the market. Somebody else will buy it. So the borrower has no obligation to repay until 25 years in one shot. Borrower, which is, let's say in this case NTPC Green, may choose to repay, he will buy back those bonds. Now this kind of financing, I don't think, I have not seen so far any of the renewable companies going to the government saying, here is my bond issuance of so many thousand crores, please approve it as a tax-free bond. The government MOF has to see the purpose of the bond issuance is genuine and in the national interest, which it is, renewable project is. So that is one way to look at it, where you are then free to experiment with new technologies in renewable and there is no obligation to repay. You have an option to repay or buy back. This is available in the context of the Indian law today. You don't have to make any policy advocacy. It's just there. The other is, you have a question? No, I forgot to say that because I was not seeing my notes properly. So the question was in my mind that these are only, I mean, as of now, let's say the tax-free bonds are issued by NHAI, HDFC, Railways, REC, and a few other government organizations or PSUs. But if, let us say, a private company wants to take the benefit of this, so REC is a public sector undertaking. They can be the nodal agency, they can borrow tax-free bonds and lend to the renewable players on a back-to-back basis, keeping 1 or 2% margin for themselves. But again, there will be no obligation for repayment on a certain date. The repayment call will come from the ultimate borrower. Suppose I am Tata Power saying, oh, I want to pay 2,000 crores out of 10,000 crores I took from you. REC will then buy back those shares, that much bond, and I will pay for that. So that vehicle is there, luckily in India, through PFC, REC, or there may be another state-owned entity. The government has to agree. Now, I learned something from none other than late Mr. Jaitley, when we talked to him about this FGD issue. So the first proposal I had taken was, sir, can we get from the school cess for FGD compliant players some refund? He said, Sunil, government से कभी मिलता नहीं है, exemption मिल जाता है. So if you have to pay something to the government, exemption is a one letter. If you want to get some money, then you have to keep running after the departments to get the money every time. So similarly here, when you go to the government saying, give me a VGF for the renewable, very difficult to get. But just say, please approve this borrowing as tax-free. Okay. So that is easy. It's just one letter for a 20,000 bond, whatever. There is another concept of perpetual bonds, which I was quite surprised when I came through. I was investing my retirement capital, so I thought, let me see what are the benefits, what are the available, options. So there is a concept of perpetual bond. You can look at it from the SBI mutual funds, for example, which bond is issued by the borrower, never to be paid back. So because the bond holder will sell in the market. So it's a bond issued by a AAA company, it could be REC, it could be or private company, there is no prohibition on that. And if the investor wants to get paid, he sells in the market. Now that is something which is a hugely, I would say, tailor-made instrument for renewable power funding. And I'm surprised why companies are not looking at those options. We are looking at pension funds which are called patient capital, but they also want, besides interest, some of the repayment of the loan because they have to service their pension obligations to the whichever country they come from. Then of course there are, so anything where the money comes from the public, not the IPOs, but money comes from the public in the form of even IPOs, but it's an expensive way to raise money by way of equity because you have to pay dividend out of post-tax income, and interest is a pre-tax expenditure. Anyway, that's a different discussion. So, besides this, I had one or two points which basically talk about only there is one more concept. I'm being very specific because I think if I can give you some ideas on how these specific structures or structured financing options which are available in the market can fit into your project. There's a concept of deep discount bonds. When we talk about sustainable, we talk about longevity. So the deep discount bond is another thing where you say, I'm going to borrow 60 rupees, but after 15 years I pay 100. There's nothing in between. You have some accounting accruals, all that. So I think from a macro level, helicopter view, if I take, renewable financing should really be a crowdfunding. Like many people paying for it, is tradable, ease of getting the money back, and no obligation to pay back. There are also, in some context, I have not really gone through in detail, called municipal bonds. So in the case of private-public partnerships, municipal bonds, which are basically normally subscribed by the citizens of that municipal area. But there could be some customization which can be done. So these were my thoughts primarily on how differently sustainable financing has to be for renewable versus any other project. So I think that's what it is. If there are any questions, I can take it later. Thank you.